So everybody can think of a time. When I got involved with with horses initially, I thought, okay, their level of discomfort must stem from the fact that we put saddles on and ride them, right? We put these rigid saddles on their back, then we get on their back, and obviously that's where they get sore. So I did a study on horses' backs. What I discovered is, for the most part, one shoulder is bigger than the other. Horses aren't balanced and even. If you look at the saddles coming out of the factory, turn them over on the other side and just eyeball down the center, the saddles aren't balanced and even. If they start out that way, they don't stay that way. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not balanced all the time either. So we've got those dynamics going on, yet we want our horses to be comfortable, right? So I developed a range of saddle pads. There's 12 different styles. They compensated for the fact that we put saddles on their back and ride them. But those little niggly problems still continued with my horses. Pinned ears, swishing tail, unexplained swellings and lamenesses. And what I discovered was I really had to look at the feet. I could no longer accept that the farrier would come and take care of the feet, and all I had to do was pick them out and get on the horse and ride. Unacceptable. Everything stems from the feet. So we're going to go into a little study, and I want to show you some of the issues with the feet. Think about how much has changed in the world. Okay? Remember those old cell phones? Remember the cassette decks? Now we've got the little chip. Remember the first black and white TV? I do. Now we've got this beautiful flat screen. The first Commodore. Now we've got the Slimline. All these things have changed. This was one of our first airplanes. Now Richard Branson is going to take us into space travel. And at the same time, we continue to do the same thing to our horses' feet that we've been doing for 1,500 years. All this change is going on, and we keep nailing metal shoes on horses' feet the exact same way we've been doing for 1,500 years. Does it serve them? No. No, it doesn't. The reason we started nailing metal shoes onto horses' feet was when we wanted to take them into battle. And we brought the horses in from the field, and their hoofs started to rot because they didn't have movement, and they were standing in their own excrement. So the idea was to put a metal plate on their hoofs to elevate the hoof out of the excrement. But of course the excrement went in between the plate and the hoof, and it got worse. So then we cut out the middle and aerated it. That's how we did it 1,500 years ago. Nothing has changed. Okay, horses have been on the planet for 55 million years. They're survivors. That hoof is a miraculous structure. The whole design of a horse is a miraculous structure. But the fact that we've been nailing metal shoes into their feet for 1,500 years is compromising them. And it's evidenced on the marketplace that our horses are sore. Look at the proliferation of glucosamines, anti-inflammatories, MSMs on the marketplace, painkillers. Why? Because our horses are sore. How many of you have barefoot horses? Wow, wow. That's fabulous. And booted? Anybody booting their horses? Good girls. All right, so let's look at what happens inside the horse's foot. The upper arrow is when the hoof is not bearing weight. That's the coffin bone. When the weight of the horse comes down, that coffin bone is meant to drop like a trampoline to absorb shock. How does that happen? The heels spread apart and draw the sole flat so that the sole gets out of the way of the descending bone column. Now what happens if we nail metal into that structure when it's in the air in its most contracted shape? Do the heels expand? No. No. You may have heard it said that a horse has 5 hearts. Anybody hear that? Yeah. 1 in the chest and 4 on the ground. And the 4 on the ground refers to the functions of the frog. The function of the frog is to make contact with the ground and spread those heels apart so that the bone column has somewhere to descend. But in so doing, the frog then pumps the blood. It pumps the blood through all the coriums of the hoof, and what does blood have in it? Nutrients, nutrition, which prevent or alleviate a lot of the conditions our horses are currently plagued with. So when the frog can make contact with the ground, pump the blood back into the heart, circulate blood, we're going to have healthy hoof tissue. I just read a study that was done about bleeders on the track. Anybody hear that term? So what happens is horses running flat out on the racetrack. You know, the pulmonary rate is enormous. And because the blood cannot travel all the way into the horse's feet, it starts to back up from the knee. When they get back into the stall, they spontaneously erupt blood out of their nasal cavities. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's the goriest thing. You go into the stall and there's blood everywhere. It looks like a horror movie. And the study was saying, and I don't know how conclusive it is, but it sort of makes sense to me, that the reason is because the blood can't flow right into the feet. Backs up, backs up, backs up, and spontaneously erupts out of the nasal cavity. So I have a lot of information I'd like to share with you today. We may have some time for questions afterwards for you to ask, but I'm going to have 2 questions for you too. And whoever answers first gets a prize. And also afterwards I do have some free gifts for you also. So what I would like to talk to you about is hoof mechanism. Shock absorption, right? The bone column descends, it has somewhere to go, and blood circulation. Look at how much blood is circulating in that horse's hoof. All restricted by nailing metal shoes.